जय गोपीजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन व्रज जन, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल, निताय गौरा हरि बोल। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री निताय गौरंग की जय, श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं, देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया, भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, Text 21. एवं सदा कर्म कलापमात्मनः परेधि यज्ञे भगवत्यधोक्षजे, सर्वात्मभावं विदधन् महिम् इमाम् Tannishta viprabhihitah sashashaha. Evam sada karma kalapamatmanaha. Paredhi yagne bhagavati adhokshaje. Sarvatma bhavam vidadhan mahimimam. Tannishta viprabhihitah shashasaha. Evam sada karma kalapamatmanaha. Atmabhavam vidadhan mahimimam. Tannishta viprabhihitah shashasaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Translation. In performing his prescribed duties as king, Maharaj Ambarisha always offered the results of his royal activities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is the enjoyer of everything and is beyond the perception of material senses. He certainly took advice from Brahmanas, who were faithful devotees of the Lord, and thus he ruled the planet Earth without difficulty. Please repeat. In performing his prescribed duties as king, Maharaj Ambarisha always offered the results of his royal activities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is the enjoyer of everything and is beyond the perception of material senses. He certainly took advice from Brahmanas, who were faithful devotees of the Lord, and thus he ruled the planet Earth without difficulty. So, as I read the purport, I will explain. It's a little big purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So this is a verse right after the famous set of verses that we discussed last week about how Ambarish Maharaj executed devotional service. Savai Manah Krishna Padara Vindayor Vachamsi Vaikuntha Gunanu Varnane. Like that, all his senses, how he utilized. So now what is being said is Evam, in this way, Sada Karma Kalapam. Karma Kalapam means his prescribed duties. Karma means his activities, prescribed duties. Always, Sada, Atmanaha Karma Kalapam, his own prescribed duties, he executed and offered to whom? Pare Adhiyagne Bhagavati Adhokshaje. He offered it to the Supreme Lord who is the supreme, Pare, who is Adhiyagna, who is the master of all sacrifices, who is the supreme personality of Godhead, Bhagavati, who is Adhokshaja. What is the meaning of Adhokshaja? Beyond the perception of material senses. A and Ksha. From A to Ksha is the limit of our material knowledge. One should not think that just by mastering this material knowledge one can understand God. He is beyond that. That is why Adhokshaja. So he offered all the results of his activities to Adhokshaja. Sarvatma bhavam vidadhan. With all his bhava, with all the attitude of offering this as in devotion to the Lord, vidadhan, he offered it. And in this way, he ruled this Mahim. Mahim Shashasa. Shashana means to rule. Shashasa. He ruled the earth by his own whims and fancies? No. He is guided by Tannishtha Viprabhihitaha. Abhihitaha means guided by Vipras, learned Brahmanas. Not ordinary learned Brahmanas. Those who have Tat Nishtha, faith on the Supreme Lord. Tannishtha Viprabhihitaha Shashasaha. So Prabhupada mentions the peace formula in the very beginning of the purport. He says, people are very anxious to live in peace and prosperity in this material world. And here in Bhagavad Gita, the peace formula is given personally by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone should understand that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the ultimate proprietor of all planets and is therefore the enjoyer of all activities, political, social, cultural, religious, economic, and so on. There was one Mataji, Prabhupada's disciple, Vishakha Dasi Mataji. If you know, she and her husband, they take a lot of videos, the films. I think his name is Yadubar Das. Yeah. So they were behind that Prabhupada film also that was released a few years ago, Hare Krishna film. So she was, wherever she would go, and Yadubar Prabhu also would go, they would shoot Prabhupada's videos. And so this Mataji was on the plane from Philadelphia to Berkeley. So she found something very interesting. She started to film. What is that? This captain of the plane, he saw Prabhupada entering the plane and sat. So after a while, when the plane steadied, he came out of the cockpit and he made space next to Prabhupada and he said, "Can I sit and talk to you?" And Prabhupada was very happy. And so he started to talk to Prabhupada and started to ask questions. So this Mataji was taking video. And in that sound, she could not hear exactly what was being spoken. But Prabhupada appeared very pleased and was very enthusiastic to talk to him. And so she was feeling bad that she could not actually record what was being spoken. She could only record that there was some conversation. And that would have been a very interesting conversation. And being shy, she could not even ask Prabhupada what exactly transpired. So she was feeling bad, and they landed in Berkeley, and they went to the temple, and Prabhupada started to give lecture. And in that lecture, Prabhupada started to tell, I had this conversation with this captain of the plane, and then he recounted everything that had happened. So he said, this captain came and asked, first question he asked was, why is there evil in this world? And Prabhupada basically answered, for God, there is no good, there is no evil. And he gave the example of how there is my front portion and there is my back portion. It's not that something happens to my back, I just ignore it. My back is also as good and important, and I have to treat it, take care of it as my friend portion. So, from God's perspective, everything is good. And then he asked a follow-up question. So, from God's perspective, if everything is good, then why is there evil in this world? And so Prabhupada then gave the example of the sun in the sky. For the sun, there is no darkness, isn't it? Sun itself has no shadow. And when you face towards the sun also, there is no shadow for you. But when you face away from the sun, then you are facing the shadow. You're not facing the sun. So even though God is all good, there is nothing called evil. The so-called evil also originates from God. It originates because you turn away from God. And then he asked a follow-up question, then how can we find peace in this world? And Prabhupada said, you can find peace in this world by remembering three things. What is that? That Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, Krishna is the supreme proprietor, and Krishna is the supreme friend of all living entities. This is the peace. This is how you can find peace in this world. So there was another time, another reporter came and asked Prabhupada, not exactly the same question, something similar. He said, so you came to this country, South Africa, and what do you think about our country? And Prabhupada said, no, I think about all the countries the same. Everywhere the civilization is misdirected. And he did not understand what is misdirected. What do you mean by misdirected? And then Prabhupada kindly explained. Misdirected means, suppose for example, somebody's father dies and you are crying, my father has passed away. Have you ever thought that the body is lying there, but why are you crying that my father has passed away? And then he understood, oh, that means something is missing. So that is the important aspect. Instead of searching for that something, people are all searching for this body, going in the wrong direction. That is called misdirected civilization. So he understood. And then he said, the reporter asked, what is the message you want to give to the people of this country for their happy living? Prabhupada said, there can be no question of happy living and peaceful living in this country or in this world for that matter. Just like you may give a lot of messages to a set of dogs, but the dogs, can they ever find or can they ever implement those messages? Can they ever understand? If they remain as dogs, they will keep barking. So elsewhere Prabhupada said, United Nations is nothing but set of barking dogs. Because you are not elevating them spiritually, you are making them on the platform, keeping them on the platform of dogs. How can there be peace? They'll keep barking. This is called misdirected civilization. He said, my message is, firstly, you have to raise them from animal consciousness to human consciousness. That is what we are trying to do. The another example of misdirected civilization is another conversation Prabhupada was mentioning. So, in Vrindavan, Prabhupada gave the example. Not just in Vrindavan, but this conversation happened in Vrindavan. So he said, these dogs, you find them starving. This is a typical example of the material world. You find these dogs starving, but as soon as they find a partner to enjoy, he is satisfied by uniting with that partner. He's starving, but he's just enjoying the union of opposite partner. So where is the satisfaction? But he's thinking that is satisfaction. Similarly, these people who get wine, even though they don't have any shelter, they don't have anything to eat, somehow they get a bottle of wine and they think they're happy, they're satisfied. This is called illusory happiness. The whole world is under that illusion. Sense gratification, they think that to be happiness. They feel satisfied. But Prabhupada said, real satisfaction will prevail. Real satisfaction is something that should prevail, not just momentarily. Real satisfaction will prevail when one knows this principle, Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam principle. Krishna is the proprietor of all planets. Because of Krishna's order, the sun is rising, the sea is working, the sky is staying, the planets are moving in their orbit. That is, so Prabhupada said, a devotee will see how by God's design the sea is working, the sky is staying, and all these things. Oh, my Lord is great, how He has arranged all these things. That is called real satisfaction. And then Prabhupada mentions in the purport, the Lord has given perfect advice in Bhagavad Gita. And Ambarish Maharaj, as the ideal executive head, you don't have to go through that, just. As the ideal executive head, ruled the entire world as a Vaishnava, taking advice from Vaishnava Brahmanas. The Shastras enjoin that even though a Brahmana may be well versed in occupational Brahminical duties and may be very learned in Vedic knowledge, he cannot give advice as a guru until he is a Vaishnava. So now so Ambarish Maharaj is taking advice from these Brahmanas who are Tannishtha Viprabhihitaha. Not just Brahmanas, but they are expert Brahmanas who have taken shelter of the Supreme Lord. They are devotees also. So, you see, in a typical Brahmana means, Prabhupada mentions quite often, there are 6 things a Brahmana does. Anyone remembers? Patan, Yajan Yajan, Dana and Pratigraha. So these are all called Shatkarma. Shatkarma Nipuno Vipro, Mantra Tantra Visharadaha, Avaishnavo Gurur Nasyat, Syat Vaishnava Swapacho Guruhu. Even though a Brahmana may be expert in these 6 things, but if he is not a Vaishnava, then he cannot become a Guru. It is said that even a Brahmana is not initiated into a Vaishnava mantra, he should not even worship the deity. So this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one time, he went to this temple, Kshirachora Gopinath temple. Where is this? Pakistan? Paleshwar. Okay. Kshirachora Gopinath temple, Orissa, right? So on the way to Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped in that place. And he was telling the story of Kshirachora Gopinath to everyone. So while telling the story, he told, obviously it is all about Madhavendra Puri, the great devotee of the Lord. So he was telling how Madhavendra Puri once went to Vrindavan. So he went to Vrindavan and then Govardhan. He did a parikrama, and after that he took his bath in Govindakunda, and he was staying there chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And then he saw one boy coming to him, charming boy. Of course, we know who it is. So the boy comes to him and gives him some milk and asks him, what are you doing here? You seem to be starving. And in my village, nobody starves. And this woman, they saw you and doing some fasting and austerities. In my village, there is nothing like that. Everybody eats sumptuously, and they arrange food through me. And for now, you take this milk, and I'll come back and give you something. So Madhavendra Puri happily takes the milk, he drinks the milk, and he just washes that pot and keeps it ready for the boy to come back. The boy never comes back. So Madhavendra Puri, he starts to chant again and dozes off a little bit late in the night. And then he gets a dream. And in that dream, the same boy comes in the dream and he says, "Oh dear Madhavendra Puri, please come with me." And so he takes Madhavendra Puri by his hand and takes him to a place where there are lots of bushes. So you see, I've been hidden in these bushes for a very long time. Because when there was this Muslim attack, Aurangzeb attacked, these priests, they have hidden me in this place. They wanted to protect me. They have hidden me in this place. And I've been suffering a lot of heat and cold and rain and winter and all of that. And now I've been waiting for you when you will come and unearth me out of this place. And now you have come. Can you please take me out of this place and install me on my throne? And in that description, I found a couple of verses very interesting. So basically this is Krishna who is speaking to Chaitanya, Madhavendra Puri. So he says, "For many days I have been observing you and I have been wondering when will Madhavendra Puri come here to serve me. I have accepted your service due to your ecstatic love for me. Thus I shall appear, and by my audience all fallen souls will be delivered." And now he says, "Shri Gopala Nama Mora Govardhana Dhari Vajrera Sthapita Ami Ihan Adhikari." So he says, "My name is Gopala. I am the lifter of Govardhana hill. I was installed by Vajra, and here I am the authority." And he tells the story how the Muslims attacked and he was hidden there. And then after saying this, the boy disappears. And then Madhavendra Puri begins to lament, "Oh my God, I've seen Krishna personally, but I could not recognize him." And then he wakes up from his dream, and then he again becomes ecstatic and falls down unconscious. But then the next day he wakes up and then gathers all the village men, and he tells what happened. And of course he is the great devotee of the Lord. People accept his version. And then he takes them all and to the exact place, and to their surprise, when they dig that place, they find this deity, beautiful Gopal deity. But it's a very heavy deity. So a lot of strong men, they call them and then lift that deity and take them on the top of Govardhana hill. And Madhavendra Puri installs the deity and he performs Abhisheka. He offers, that's the starting of the Annakuta ceremony in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya in a big way. When Krishna did that Govardhan Puja, there was Annakuta ceremony. So it is said that Madhavendra Puri also did the similar Annakuta ceremony after installing the deity. And then there is a specific, why I am bringing this up is because after installing the deity, he does something like this. Sakala Brahmane Puri Vaishnava Karila Sei Seva Madhye Sabha Niyojila. Said all the Brahmanas present on that occasion were initiated by Madhavendra Puri into the Vaishnava cult. And Madhavendra Puri engaged them in different types of service. So, just being a Brahmana is not enough to worship the deity. You have to be initiated into Vaishnava mantra. So, Prabhupada mentions that important point in the purport. In order for such a qualified Brahmana to worship the deity, he must be a Vaishnava. Thus, the Vaishnava's position is superior to that of a Brahmana. This example given by Madhavendra Puri confirms that even though a Brahmana may be very expert, He cannot become a priest or servitor of the Vishnu Murti unless he is initiated in Vaishnava mantra. So, and then Prabhupada explains how one should follow the footsteps of Madhavendra Puri, how he has initiated Brahmanas into Vaishnavas and started this deity worship with elaborate worship from morning to the night, and offering of prasada and distributing it, and so on and so forth. So, that kind of tannishtha viprabhitaha, that kind of devotee Brahmanas, this Ambarish Maharaj was guided by. And then Prabhupada mentions about how in modern times there are legislative assemblies whose members are authorized to make the laws for the welfare of the state. But according to this description, the chief executive must rule the country, and his advisors are all devotee Brahmanas. So the chief executive must be guided by all devotee Brahmanas. But the current situation is that chief executive is not a devotee and he is guided by non-devotees. So what is the situation? So Prabhupada mentioned, so Prabhupada was talking about the inadequacies and this problems with this current democracy. And so they were asking, one of the disciples were asking, so you think the monarchy should be brought back? And Prabhupada said, no, that is not possible. But because democracy is prevalent, our duty is to make a lot of people Krishna conscious so that they can elect somebody who is a devotee. Speaking of which, there were instances in our movement when devotees were running for the post of, the government posts. There was one example, Balavanta Prabhu, Prabhupada's disciple in 70s. So they were in Atlanta. And so they were doing Sankirtana and all of that, and they got arrested. Usually in those days, they would arrest devotees performing Sankirtana, and they were jailed. So they were jailed actually. And now they approached Prabhupada what to do. And Prabhupada wrote a letter saying, no, you should go and approach the prominent leaders of the city, the mayor and all of that, and submit your plea and explain that how our movement is able to curb all these problems of drugs and all this intoxication and all kinds of sinful things without any money or endeavor from the government. And this is a bona fide movement, and you should go and argue and all that. So somehow they go and talk to one attorney and who presents their case to the mayor, and somehow they release them and all of that. So they are in good terms now. And Prabhupada calls Balavant Prabhu to New York to talk to him, how his political preaching was happening. And so Balavant Prabhu explains, this is what we are trying to do, and Prabhupada appreciated it. And they are on the plane they were traveling to, I think, Berkeley. And on the plane, Prabhupada was discussing how to actually run for politics and how to actually preach. And in the plane only, they formed a party called In God We Trust. So that is the party they formed and said, this is the party you should fight for. And Prabhupada explained how when you start the party and preach to people, don't go into all this kind of policies and explaining how my party is going to solve these problems. So Prabhupada said you should first focus on how our party, or how it is important for the country to have a God-conscious leader, or the leader should be God-conscious, so that everything will be set right. And on that basis, you should form your party and preach to people. And you may touch on little things like inflation and how artificially by currency you're inflating this whole thing. And the simple things you can talk, but the whole thing is you should focus on how a leader must be God conscious. And that's what we are trying to do. And they said, okay, fine. And then Prabhupada left, and then they were preaching. And then Prabhupada got another letter after some time and saying, Prabhupada, we didn't get, we didn't win the election, in the mayor election. We didn't get many votes. But Prabhupada said, that's okay. At least you tried, you didn't compromise our philosophy. You tried to present to the people. And then Prabhupada explained, the problem is, you're telling the people that, or the senators, the mayors, the leaders, should be all Brahminical people, should all follow these 4 regulative principles, no meat eating, no intoxication, all these things. And only then they should be able to rule. The moment people hear that, they will think, oh, I can also not follow those things. How can this person follow? And so they will not be very eager to vote this person into power, because that is not very practical for them. What if this person will impose the same thing on us? They will think like that. So they will not vote. So it is okay. But my Guru Maharaj also was so very bold like this. So he has preached boldly like this. So you did not compromise. So that is what Krishna will see. It's all right. So this is the point, that the leader should be Krishna conscious. Elsewhere Prabhupada said, Krishna Katha is compulsory for a rajarshi. Krishna Katha is not just for brahmanas or devotees, but it is compulsory for a rajarshi, so that he can rule well. And then Prabhupada continues in the purport. When the king and his advisors are perfect devotees, nothing can be wrong in the state. All the citizens become devotees of the Lord, and their good character will automatically follow. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana. Anyone remembers the shloka? And then? Kuto mahadguna manoradhena sati tavato bahi. So what is the meaning of that? Yasyasti bhaktir, one who has bhakti of Supreme Lord. Sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha. He has all the good qualities of demigods. But if somebody has all the good qualities, but harav abhaktasya, if one is not a devotee, then manoradhena sati dhavato bahihi. Because he is on the mental platform, very soon he will fall down, and those good qualities count for nothing. So how is it that a person having all good qualities is not given very great respect here, whereas one who has devotion is given great respect even though he may not have good qualities right now? It's very unusual, isn't it? Not very logical. How is it? Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Yes, very soon that person will become reformed and become sane. But what about those who have good qualities? Why that person is not? Yes, because he is still following the one's mind dictation, and very soon he will commit some sinful activity and fall down. One time Amitasan Prabhu was giving this example about this verse. Say for example, you all go to shopping mall, and so may not be here, but maybe sometimes here also, but especially in India. So you take this shopping cart, and then you are putting things into that shopping cart. So there are these employees everywhere in the shop, and they greet you, they welcome you, they are talking with nice words, and they are helping you put things into the cart and all of that. And suddenly you take this cart, and instead of going to the billing counter, You take this cart and start to go away from the shop. What will happen? So the same person who was respecting you will start to chase you and will start to complain about you to police or the authorities, and you will be put in jail, whatever things happen after that. So we need to realize that all the things that we are assembling into the shopping cart, all the qualities that we have, all the abilities that we have, not ours. They're all given by the Supreme Lord to me. And without paying back in respect, in gratitude to the Supreme Lord, if I steal it and use it for my purpose, then those qualities actually don't work for you, or those qualities are not helping you, but only hurting you. Because you are using it for your own sense gratification. So that is why, as long as you don't come to the point of Krishna consciousness, no good qualities or materially good qualities count for you. But if you come to Krishna consciousness, eventually you will develop all good qualities. And then Prabhupada concludes the purport saying that if citizens are trained to become devotees, they will automatically become peaceful and honest. And if they are guided by a devoted king advised by devotees, the state will not be in the material world, but in the spiritual world. All the states of the world should therefore follow the ideal of the rule or administration of Maharaj Ambarish as described here. We'll stop here. Any questions or comments on what we discussed? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्ण।
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare